Let's open the door. Okay.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Your Excellencies.
Yes,
Honored
sir.
guests.
Yeah, hold
Oh,
on before you start. Yes. Let's open the door. Ready. Excellencies. Yes, sir.
did you share your computer sounds? Because we don't hear him.
Yeah, I can't hear anything.
Not hearing him?
No.
No, we're not.
No, we're not.
Okay. I'll stop it again.
Did you share?
Yes, I did. I did. Oh my God. It's not allowing me to do that.
Can you stop the YouTube and then start over again? We don't want all this on.
Okay, prophetess, start, and then I'll fix it up.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Your Excellencies, honored guests, everyone, everywhere. We are delighted to welcome you all to this beautiful Lord's Day as we open our 2025 United Nations Universal Children's Day. Isaiah 24:15, therefore glorify the Lord in this dawning new light. For every new day with God brings the dawning of new and better possibilities. So today could turn out to be the best day of your life. So let's take charge with our mouths and speak life to the inclusion for every child. The inclusion for every child is a transformative concept that ensures every child, regardless of ability, background, gender, or circumstances, is seen, valued, and empowered to thrive. It is not charity, it's just justice. The inclusion for every child is a transformative approach to achieving universal access to education, ensuring that every child, regardless of ability, identity, or circumstances, is welcomed, supported, empowered to learn, and more importantly, loved. The inclusion for every child is a living expression of the United Nations Convention on the Right of the Child, transforming its principles into action by ensuring that every child, regardless of their ability, their identity, or circumstances, is protected, empowered, and included fully in society. Again, welcome to this wonderful program as we introduce the Universal Child Day. At this time, we will have the reflections on the UN's Declaration on the Universal Child's Day by Her Excellency Professor Ada Okika, proprietor of Irene Mekanini Schools in Nigeria.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Dr. Ambassador Lisa Parks. I just want to reflect on the Convention of Rights of the Child by a recap on the message from the Secretary General of United Nations that was released on 19th of November. Usually every year, November 20 is set aside by the global community led by the United Nations to remind ourselves of the rights of the children across the world. Now, the Convention on the Rights of the Child is the most widely ratified treaty in history. Signed 36 years ago, it affirms a simple truth. When we protect the youngest members of our human family, we build a better world. But right now, children's rights are under attack as these children experience trafficking, violence, abuse, denials, and poverty hovers around them. Um, Poverty and emergencies are stealing education. Climate chaos is jeopardizing the futures, and new dangers lurk on the online world. Too many children already carry burdens far beyond their years, earning income or caring for siblings. And famine and war have robbed thousands of the most basic rights of all, the right to life. Every child's circumstances are unique, but every child has the same right no matter who they are or where they live. The World Children's Day, let us listen to children and let us amplify their voices as they stand up for their rights. The future is defined by how we care for the next generation. We must unite to build a safe and equal world for every child. This convention on the right, this was said by the Secretary General of United Nations, Antonio Guterres, and I want to remind us that the convention highlighted significantly on the civil rights, family environment, health and welfare, education, leisure and culture, special protection measures for every child. The convention mentioned definition of a child, which is Article 1, non-discrimination, Article 2, best interest of the child, Article 3, rights to life, survival and development, Article 5, and respect for the overall interest of the children. And this has compelled the Irene Menakaya School in 1979 to establish this school in order to encourage the children from the rural communities, the children from poor homes, the children from less privileged families to align themselves with the need that the children, every child in the home, every child in the community has right to education. The school, established on the motto, "My child is my pride," endows families to look inwards on ensuring that their children are being endowed into a development that can give them sustainable future. So my late parents, Barrister Juni and Irene Menakaya, took up this mandate on their return from England, where my late mother had education from University College London on infant education. And in 1979, they started this school in the community of Onitsha in Anambra State, Nigeria, Southeast states. And ever since then, the school has stood to applaud interest on the Convention of the Rights of the Child to education, the right of the child to good health, the right of the child to a sustainable future. And the school has, in the less than 50 years, endowed them its principle, its objective, its mission, its statement of mission to see that every child, no matter the status of the family, no matter the economic status of the family, that every child is endowed to a sustainable future. I remember in those days when we were growing up, my mom would go out and bring some of these children that she sees on the street hawking and bring them to school. And when the parents come, she will look at their problem, she tell them, this child needs education, she needs a future. The hawking was never his future or her future. Allow the child to the school. When the parents complain that they don't have money for school fees, say, leave that to us. And the children will pass. Today, those children are sustainable. I see them on Facebook. I see what they're doing on Facebook in their various talents and skills. So the right of the child is a sustainable future, not just compelling the child to do what is not inherent in that child, but to advance the issues that need to lead the child to a sustainable future. I'm proud to know that that school has been able to produce children in medical fields, children in education, children in banking field, children in engineering, children in computer technology, children in all forms of skills like being a musicians, being talented to exhibit their inherent potential, which the school advances to do in order to produce the overall inherent talent and potential in every child. So today we are aligning with ever since we come into the understanding about the United Nations, and the school was privileged to be the only school in Southeast states to be accredited with special consultative status at the United Nations. We got ourselves aligned to the UN resolutions on the rights of the children, and we established the Model United Nations SDG education. We established the UN Toy education. We established various forms of activities that can expose the children to global understanding, and then to drive to momentum on their inherent potential for their sustainable future. So I thank you all for coming today to join us in advancing the cause of the United Nations and the global need, the global voice of a child in advancing his or her future through the work of Irene Menakaya School. I thank you. Back to you, Your Excellency.
Thank you, Professor Ada, for that declaration of the Universal Child's Day. We're going to move right along to our guest speaker on the Declaration of the Universal Child's Day, the Inclusion for Every Child. Guest speaker, Prince Dr. Osita, the chair, Barrister Fajuna and Irina McKinney, Legacy Lectures, and the Members School Education Advisory Council.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Lisa Parks. I think I owe you some assistance. It is Barrister Juni and Irene Menakaya Legacy Lectures. Irene Menakaya, it's one of the most fondest name in education in my country, Nigeria. It's on the lips of everybody who has been able to go to school to learn something. So thank you so much, Dr. Parks. My name is Osita Anyemeka, and I open by saying that the moral and legal imperative of the 2025 Universal Children's Day is anchored on the declaration in the UN Convention for the Rights of the Child, CRC, SDG 4, Quality Education, and SDG 10, Reduced Inequalities. And we start this journey today on the quadrant, governments, educators, families, and the youth themselves. And we affirm that no child is invisible and no potential untapped. Inclusion for every child is not a privilege, it's a promise. And today matters because the Universal Children's Day is historical and special. It addresses the barriers that break dreams, the systemic barrier, the social barrier, and the economic barrier. Because when inclusion works, it is success story galore, and inclusion for every child becomes a promise and not a privilege. What are the implications? Today, on Universal Children's Day, we gather not just to remember children, but to reclaim inclusion as a non-negotiable heart of childhood itself. Universal Children's Day isn't just a date on the calendar. It is a living reminder of a promise made in 1959 and renewed in 1989 at the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. Every child, everywhere, has the right to survive, thrive, and belong. Yet today, over 240 million children with disabilities live in conditions of exclusion. Millions more refugees, street-connected children, children in conflict zones, girls in marginalized communities are rendered invisible by the systems not built for them. So let's be clear. Inclusion is not charity. It's not about helping children fit into broken systems. Inclusion means designing systems that bend towards every child, where classrooms adopt, playgrounds welcome, policies listen, and dignity is automatic. It is not a program. It's a posture, a commitment to say you belong here exactly as you are. The numbers speak loudly. For instance, only 1 in 10 children with disabilities in sub-Saharan Africa completes primary school. In conflict-affected regions, girls are 2.5 times more likely to be out of school than boys. Over 50% of refugee children lack access to any form of structured learning. These aren't just statistics, they are stolen futures. They are potentials locked behind doors labeled not for you. What are the barriers? The barriers are not natural. They are man-made. Physically, we don't provide ramps. There are no braille, no safe transport. Socially, there is stigma, there is silence, there is shame, and systematically, curricula that don't reflect diversities everywhere. Budgets that deprioritize the most vulnerable. But here's the truth. Exclusion costs us more than inclusion ever could, in lost innovation, fractured communities, and general trauma. Yet, where inclusion takes root, miracles grow. The Youth Gather Global Land Corridor experience explains better. In Lagos, for instance, a youth-led tech hub trained deaf and hearing teens side by side, launching 3 startups in 1 year. In Accra, in the Greater Ghana Capital Region, 42.7% of children reported having been verbally humiliated at home, but the verbal abuse of children by adults, which reduces their confidence and self-esteem, is being addressed. In Nairobi, a mobile classroom reaches pastoralist children who have never held a pencil, now dream of becoming doctors, engineers, and of course, becoming teachers. In Kigali, a school in Rwanda integrated inclusive design and saw enrollment of children with disabilities triple in 18 months, with learning outcomes matching their peers. These aren't exceptions, they are blueprints. So today, we affirm a simple but revolutionary declaration. Inclusion for every child stands on a tripod: access, agency, accountability. On access, we're talking about access to education, health, play, voice, and without condition. Agency, children as co-designers of their own futures. Accountability, governments, institutions, and all of us that measured what children will do, would lift them and show them how to lead. And this is not idealism, it is implementation. Our role as policymakers, let's embed inclusion in every education and social protection budget line. As educators, let's train in universal design and see difference as design fuel. As families and communities, let's challenge stigma on our table, in our streets. As young people, let's demand seats at decision tables and hold them open for others. Inclusion is not, inclusion is not someone else's job. It is everybody's covenant, our pledge. So I invite you now, not just to listen, but to commit. On your screens or in your hearts, choose one action you will take in the next 30 days to advance inclusion for a child. It may be mentoring, advocating, donating, or amplifying, MADA, because one action multiplied by millions becomes a movement. In closing, let us launch this Universal Children's Day with this truth. No child is hard to reach. We are simply failing to stretch far enough. Universal Children's Day reminds us that childhood is not a privilege for the few, but is a promise for the many. Let's commit. Let's commit. Let's commit today to build a world where every child walks in, sits at the table, and knows without a doubt that they belong. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prince Osita. We appreciate your remarks. Inclusion is not charity. It is just justice. I loved it. God bless you.
Thank you.
At this time, we will hear from Dr. Padmini Murthy on the universal right of every child, professor and global health director of NYMC SHSP. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Madam Moderator. Thank you, Ada, my partner in crime. And I also would like to give a shout out to Ambassador Antoine, whom we've had the pleasure of working with, and such an advocate for children as you all are. Thank you, panelists. And Madam Moderator, I would just like to make a slight correction to my title because I am Professor Emeritus and the AMBER Global Health Lead and NGO representative of the United Nations. So thank you so much. So when Ada reached out to me to talk about this, and I said, absolutely, because it's so important. And so I've titled my talk as to Health for All Children, Why It Matters. Because based on what our very eloquent, speaker, the Prince just said, it is not only, I would just say it's a sacred duty. It's a part of what we have to do because the child in us is always there. We were children, we have children, we are aunties, uncles, we are mentors. So I think a child, to recognize this, we cannot say, discard children because they are disenfranchised in the sense of they do not have a vote, but they have all of us. So I think this call to action given by you is so powerful. So very quickly, health for all matters, especially children, because it builds a foundation for their lifelong physical, mental, and social well-being. If a child is healthy, happy, productive, healthy adulthood. It's as simple as that, but it's not as simple to roll it into practice because we need to address this from the beginning to break the cycle of poverty, address how they're educated. And I know when Ada spoke about the great work her parents did, especially her mom, it just reminded me of why I got into children because addressing their needs. When we were young, my mother was a college professor growing up in India. So many people wanted to come and work for my mother. And my sister and I used to wonder why. They said, especially the youngers, they said, your mother buys sanitary products for us when she buys it for you. So then it struck me that, hello, not everybody is as privileged because they can go to school because they have their basic needs met. So I think all of us owe a lot to our mothers, our fathers, and our mentors, and we need to pass the torch forward. So giving every child the best start in life, you can see the pictures because I'm somebody who loves to use pictures because they're worth 1,000 words. Emotional well-being. So abuse is not just beating, but it's also mental trauma, anguish, and neglect. And I would like to say that when the war in early 70s was between India and Pakistan, which led to the formation of Bangladesh, the girl children in the camps were not given enough food. The rationale was the boy carries the name of the family, not the girl. So when we are talking about looking at children, the gender aspect needs to be there. I don't say that because I'm a woman or the mother of a daughter, but I think it's so important. Because as you can see, the first 2 years, the first 1,000 days of life are so important because this lays the foundation for the physical, mental, and social well-being of a child. Moving on. So what are some of the impacts? And this model was created because it's like not only is it childcare and education, but also parenting support. Like I always tell my patients or my students or wherever I said, this is the one thing you get in life when you have a baby. It comes without an instruction manual. So that is why it is so important that we all do the best we can. We don't have an instruction manual. We discuss, we talk, we learn, we fall, we pick ourselves up. But one of the things I just want to, talk about in this slide before I move on is that the investing in children is the best return on investment. You asked any economist, anybody in practice, this is what they're going to say, that yes, because it comes back so much back to us, to the society. And again, it's evidence-based. I'm a person of science, being trained as a physician and a public health expert. Evidence. Families with higher wealth are more likely to be food secure, and younger children have more likely to get food. But this just should not be dependent on the socio-economic, milieu the child is or the children are born to. We need to talk about what can we do, because little drops of water make a tiny ocean. And one of the things is that when we were children growing up, our father used to tell us never waste food. I mean, I have passed on this message to my daughter, my sister has to my nephews. What we say is don't waste food, because there's so many people dying without food, not because there is not enough food in this world. This is a very important message we all need to understand, but because of the maldistribution and the lack of equity in food distribution. And I just came back from COP in Brazil, Belém, and I had the opportunity of visiting some of the indigenous people, and the children there have unfortunately so many deficiency diseases because of the lack of access to food, the lack of access to vaccines, and also obesity. Yes, so you see both ends of the spectrum in the Amazon region, and it's in so many regions, because obesity also is a major childhood issue, and it can come down to neglect. I don't want to go into details, but our keynote speaker, sir, you talked about something about examples you illustrated in different parts of the world. So this is the UNICEF report which just was released, and I have I'm sharing this with you. You can see that it's divided into three categories: the country, the mental health, physical health, and skills. It's very interesting to see. If you look at Netherlands, mental health is on top, physical health lags behind, the skills we give children. Now, why is skills important? Because it's just not caring for them, it's empowering them, giving them confidence to say, you can do this, you can succeed. So that is so important. And it's very interesting to see this other report here. Now, Canada, you can see Slovakia, UK, Iceland, and there are so many different countries here. It's interesting to see where they rank in terms of, again, the mental health, that's column 1, physical health is 2, and skills. So I just thought this is interesting when we are talking about this. So, and if we start looking at it more, how is it like in the Republic of Korea, even though they're lagging behind other countries, skills they are giving is 4. That means they're investing more in providing skills for their children. I thought this is some interesting information to share. Now, the other big issue, so those of us who live in New York and who follow that, we just know that the recently concluded United Nations General Assembly, this is the 80th anniversary of the UN, the focus was, non-chronic diseases. As you can see, the non-chronic diseases starts in childhood. And that's why I said the first 1,000 days are so important. As you can see, the first 42 million children it's in developing countries, 83% are overweight and obese because they eat to satisfy their hunger, food which is rich in carbohydrates, sugars, which might be cheaper. So this is also a policy issue because I do a lot of work on global policy. We need to make sure this is addressed with a multi-pronged effort. Ladies, gentlemen, excellencies, all protocols observed. This is not one person doing it. This is collectively which needs to be done. So this is a very important, what shall I say, incentive, which says it's just not giving them food. It also needs to be healthy food. So what are some of the recommendations as I am finishing up is keeping to time. We need to understand girls and women are at the center of development. So we need to invest in girls and invest in children and adolescents so that their rights to physical, mental, and social well-being are really appreciated and they understand, and this is passed down because like there is generational trauma, there is also generational well-being. So I would just like to finish up this slide by saying that I'm just going to put my pointer here, my mouse here, multi-sectorial engagement. That is what we are doing. And Ada, kudos to you for curating this panel because you have people from different forms coming together to discuss how can we do this. So apart from even reducing hunger, we need to create sustainable nations so that by 2030, we do not leave anyone behind. That's why we are here together, and thank you so much. And because we are a global audience, it's thank you in many languages, and I think I have kept the time. The last thing I just want to say is that we need to do it today. We need to have done it yesterday. The time is right. Thank you so much. Back to you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you, Dr. Padmini. That is right. The time is now. And I'm just thinking, and I hope that everyone here is thinking as well, what our guest speaker said, what is our plan of action in the next 30 days? Because the time is now. Eradicating discrimination in education, talking about the inclusion of every child, will be brought to us by Professor Remy Douliet, founder, Legacy Primary Foundation, and Image Consultant Group.
Good day, everyone, distinguished excellences, my co-panelists. I'm so honored to be here today. And kudos to our Ambassador, Professor Juni, a distinguished woman of honor. And I was listening to the testimonials of Mom and what she created and the parents. That just emphasizes the power of good parenting because a lot happens when you do it right. Imagine a world where every child's laughter echoes through the streets, where every child's dreams is within reach, and every child's future is bright. This is the world we strive for, a world where children's rights are respected and their potential is unleashed. As we gather today to celebrate Universal Children's Day, let us reaffirm our commitment to creating a brighter future for all children, a future where they can thrive, grow, and shine. That opens me and segues me to the PowerPoint that I will be walking us through this morning within time frame allotted me. Again, my name is Remy Douliet. I am a professor, and education is very paramount. And I want to say that every day, to me, is a child's day. Every day we live should be a day that we bring smiles to these young leaders who were not asked to be born, but were born because we have to continue the procreation in this world. So it's a privilege to be a parent and to bring these children to the world. It's very sad to even think that there will be some that will go without food. Hence the power of inclusion. The power of inclusion has nothing to do with your status quo, your social economic engagement or power or who you were born by. It's just a right that every child desires, deserves, and must get. Inclusion for every child means a world where every child feels seen, heard, and valued, regardless of race, background, gender, or ability. Every child deserves a chance to build their dreams, not just leave their reality, build dreams, which would lead to various things in life. Again, there's a focus that we all have as adults, as parents, as loved ones who are just in the society. The universal right of children should be something that we and must continue to fight for. At this time, we shouldn't even be fighting for it. You would think that it's a known factor because if we don't have children, we have nieces, we have nephews, and we know how we love on these people. So why should any child be less than the other? No. 9 months is what every parent uses to incubate those babies. And when they are born just like anyone. So definitely no child should be left behind. Every child has the right to be included in education. Thankfully, we have a testimonial from our professor and her mom and dad and how what they started many years ago still continues. And every day she probably runs into one person who was blessed by this act of kindness that she was just doing because that was how she was wired. Look at the legacy she's left. We never met her, but we're meeting her good work. Healthcare should be something that is inclusive. My speaker that came before me was saying how when they were growing up, they were privileged to have sanitary napkins, and her mom was very special to those other young people because they got blessed through such things. These are acts of kindness that you never know how far it would go. That has to do with that has to do with healthcare. No child at this age should be struggling to have sanitary napkins or anything that they need to live their daily lives. That is a challenge to us. My brother Prince mentioned that what are we going to do within the next 30 days? That could be just as simple as saying, you know what? We are going to tackle whatever it is. It could be sanitary napkins, a child that is not healthy, because when they don't feel fresh, that's going to affect their emotional well-being. We could say, you know what, as a group, we're going to make sure that is going to be a thing of the past in that school. We can start a little at a time. Inclusive education is very important. There are opportunities to bridge the divide. We're bridging the divide right now because we're all from different parts of the world, but our voice is one. Our voice is in unison. We're saying every child must be heard. Every child. We must eradicate discrimination in healthcare, in education, in societal ills that befall our children. Healthcare access is life-saving. These are things. Health is wealth. When you are healthy, you'll be wealthy in knowledge, you'll be wealthy in resources. So we must and have to eradicate health situations that makes our children very vulnerable in what they do every day, which later affects their educational impetus. Creating inclusive society systems. Every child deserves the right to be seen and heard, and they deserve an enabling environment. And I'm going to pick on Professor Ada again. The school is the only ECOSOC registered school. Not only that, they focus on UN tours, they focus on United Nations model. So meaning that all of those children don't have to be brought to America or to developed nation, but we can take such things to them. That is what we need to do to have that inclusive societal systems that will make every child to feel heard, loved, and seen. Celebrating diversity is not just in the color. It's just in the ability to do the little things that we wish was done for us to others. And I'm sure many of us can think of those things we wish we were exposed to and we didn't. Now it's time to do it onto these young leaders. I say every day is Children's Day for me. I teach every time I see those children in front of me. I see my children. I see my ability to make a difference. I see my ability to make an impact, to chastise them, to love them, to let them see the picture of the world. That's what all of us deserves to do. Safe environment is very next to godliness. These children need to be safe. They need to be put in care where there is safety. They need to be put where vulnerability is minimal or zero. We need to teach them how they also need to be careful with the environment that they are put in. Remember now, children trust environments. When they see you as a parent, as an adult, as an auntie, engaging, smiling to someone, even though the smile might not be real, they think, oh, it's a safe space. That's someone my auntie is smiling to. That's someone my auntie talks to. But we know as adults, as we grow older, we learn some politics of life. They don't know that. So as we do such engagements, very important that we teach them about their bodies, teach them about the environment, about even digital literacy and how not to be vulnerable. Collective responsibility, I just said it. It is our responsibility. It is mine. It is yours. But we can start with this school right now, today, before the end of this call. We can commit to say sanitary napkins, whoever has a need for it should never have to struggle in the school. We start one life at a time. Trust me, it would happen, and we will see that we have more testimonials. Collective responsibility is very important. Collaborative ventures is what's going to make the world a better place, and that's what's going to make it sustainable. And we are all gathered here talking about the children's Universal Day, the importance of making sure our children are heard, they are seen, and they do what they need to do. The rights of the child started way back. I was taking notes when my brother Prince was speaking too, and I was comparing it with mine, 1959. And they renewed it in 1989 after 30 years. There's a reason why it was renewed. You would think that the solution was there. But if the solution was there, we wouldn't have renewed it. But again, it's okay, it was renewed. But what are we going to do about it? What are you going to do? What am I going to do when we leave this phone? It starts in our neighborhood. It starts in our neighborhood. It starts with what can we do to ensure that these children are not segregated. We're not saying, oh, because they're sagging their pants, they're nobody. It's about you engaging them and seeing how you can help them to feel secured about what they are doing. The future of the world is in the hands of children, whether we like it or not. It's in their hands, the most vulnerable, yet the most powerful voices in shaping tomorrow. They are the ones and will shape tomorrow, because you and I will age and frail and get out of the scene, but they are going to be coming and waxing stronger. And trust me, children are the most, they rebound very quickly because their mind is very easy to shape and they see possibilities. All we have to do when we leave this call is to ensure that we create a possibility environment. It's not about your bank account. It's not about who you know. What can you do when nobody's looking? That's going to be consistently giving life and love to these children. Our role in creating inclusion, and I'll stop in a few minutes, government has their part to play. Enacting policies that governs, that guarantees safety and ensure opportunities and hold people accountable. When they break, they need to be accountable. Corporations, we have all these companies who go to different countries or who are in this country, who make money. They are ready to give back. The community reinvestment, being able to give a corporate social responsibility. We've got to learn how to ask. They want to do it. If we don't ask, they don't know. Individuals like you and I, we have our NGOs, we have our nonprofits, we have our individual self, we have our network. What are we going to do with our network? The network is to work for others, not just you. The path forward, and I'll stop, advocate, speak up for children who do not have a voice, for sure. Collaborate. Partner with organizations, government, and private sector. We're doing that right now. Invest in education, healthcare, and safe spaces where these young people can come together. If there's a UN tour, a model UN program, partner and see how you can get more students, more young people to come and experience what a United Nations building look like. Lead with empathy. Help every child feel seen, heard, and valued. We like to be seen, heard, and valued. They do too. So there's no difference between you and I. They want what you want. They just don't have the voice to say. But if we recognize that they can be heard, then they will do more. And when you give them the enabling environment, brothers and sisters, Your Excellencies, our future can only be brighter. And I'm talking from a position of experience. Daily, I sit in front of 30 students every single day, and it gets better every day. So I submit that Children's Day is every day, and you and I are going to be the first to be enlisted and do it continuously. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for all that you do, Dr. Ada, and many other leaders around this screen. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, that was powerful. I know you were trying to get it all in, and I was soaking it in, but that was very, very good. We can do something. We don't have to just be talking. Let's get something done. And the next speaker, give me a second, I'm doing many things over here. Our next speaker who will be talking about eradicating discrimination in healthcare, Dr. Menakaya, Vice President of Barjuni and Irina Menakaya Foundation International in London.
Thank you. I hope you can see my slides. Sorry, I'm just going to get it through. Can you see my slides? Sorry. Thank you.
Yes.
And thank you, Your Excellency Lisa Parks, distinguished guests and speakers and panelists, and all those who are listening today online. I'm going to come at this question or this issue from the point of view of a medical professional and really focusing on what the child is. Thank you for this really important question you've asked me to address, eradicating discrimination in healthcare. As I reflected on this question, I asked myself, who is a child? Who do we call a child? Is it the baby in arms? Is it the toddler learning to toilet train? Is it the school-age child who is learning her alphabets? Is it the teenager or is it the 17-day-old, 17-year, 11-month-old, 28-day-old person? So who are we addressing when we say we're looking for a child? Most laws will say that a child is a child, someone who is less than 18 years. But there are changes, of course, as we know, that people, certainly particular systems, actually reflect on when you're more than 12. You become somebody who will be considered an adult. You're put into adult wards when you're more than 12, and I can imagine how difficult and traumatic that could be. And of course, I've just come from Nigeria, where there's this concept of a mature child. And I'm still struggling to understand from a physiologic point of view, or indeed a psychological point of view, what that means as a mature child. In the UK, there have been lots and lots of discussions about this whole concept of what does a child know, and can the child make their own decisions about care? And so one key thing we discuss when we're looking at teenagers, particularly around care, is, are they GILIC competent? And that's a whole new world in terms of understanding who is a child, what can a child do, and what can we able to offer children. From a medical point of view, this whole concept of children and who is a child and what can a child do really comes in when we are really reflecting on what can we offer this child, in terms of interventions, particularly when it comes to healthcare. Who decides? Who makes that decision? Is it the law, where we're thinking the law is often black and white? So on the day you turn 18, you become an adult, but before that, you are not an adult. And therefore, what happens in terms of your decision making before then? Is it healthcare where it's all nuanced? There's a lot of competing efforts there in terms of decisions to give you care and to receive care and to decide what care is right for you. And of course, children are evolving towards during teenage years, and you're thinking, am I making the right decision for this child? Depending on the child's needs at the time. Someone talked earlier about disability, and therefore is an 18-year-old person who is very disabled, still an adult or a child? And I think we need to think around those things. Social care, of course, is very stretched, is never enough. And of course, they're making judgment as prioritizing who to give care to and who's making decisions along those lines. In education, as we know, a lot of countries give education free to 12 in primary school. Some go to 16, 17, but then, and they're allowed into the community to take decisions, to get jobs, to do different things, and are those children. And of course, someone just talked just now about parents. We bring children into the world, we understand them well, and therefore, are we the right people to make decisions for them? But ultimately, my view as a pediatrician, it is the child that matters. So we need to really think carefully how we empower that child to be someone that takes real control of what's going on around him or her, and then offers agency to interact with decisions that are being made about them. So in my view, I think when we are thinking about addressing discrimination, I think turning it on the other way is about including every child. And therefore, I believe, and I see that all the time, that even a 3-month-old baby does have a view about things. It's about getting them asking that question to that baby, and then that baby will be able to give you some answers. You may decide not to take them, but at least you can ask the question and see what this baby says. I think there have been comments here about collaboration, and certainly what I'm seeing in the work that I do is the need for collaboration across nations, across cultures, across institutions. I think one of our earlier speakers hinted at this. It's huge what we can learn from each other done the right way. Because that means that by understanding what people do and why they do them, and their understanding of the consequences of that, we can begin to contextualize what it means to avoid discriminating or include every child in decision making. And by understanding that, we can together begin to develop frameworks that reflect national experiences, perhaps international laws, but again, find a way to actually address that and adopt it to local cultural norms. It's a tightrope to run, but one size does not fit all. And once we develop those frameworks, I think what we need to then do is how do we monitor its implementation, and how do we then continue to evaluate it and evolve it as we get more evidence to show the ones that are working well and not working so well. So, as the Vice President of Ginny Menakaya and Irene Menakaya Foundation, I think one of the things that is beautiful about this foundation is that we are international. We are obviously based in UN, and with colleagues on this panel and across the world. Actually, we have an extensive network of affiliates and colleagues and people who are thinking along these lines. So we really have the expertise to begin that conversation, to begin to understand what happens across cultures, across nations, and across populations, and across peoples. And understand why that happens, begin to articulate and address those challenges. And by articulating, understanding them, and listening to each other, we can begin those gentle steps of bringing about fundamental changes that ensure that we protect, avoid discrimination, and include children. So my sense would be the next steps, in my view, will be that, well, first of all, I believe, knowing that the Child Convention has been updated several times, like the previous speaker said, suggests that there are still gaps. And so we need to acknowledge globally that children's voices are not present in decisions that affect them. And if we could set up partnerships to explore the factors that hinder that progress, then I think that would be a good start. If we communicate from this session is really about being honest and looking ourselves in the mirror, I think that'd be really important. And by doing that, we can then have the honesty to look at what are the measurable frameworks that we can begin to develop and how we can measure those impacts and those frameworks. I just want to thank you all for the opportunity and the privilege to speak with you today. I do hope that as we continue this conversation, that we can hopefully begin to put the child at the center of our thinking, of our deliberations, and at the center of decisions to include them in decisions and avoid discrimination. Thank you.
Thank you. That was beautiful. And your parents are a very handsome couple.
Thank you.
That's very nice, very nice. So before we go on to our next speaker, let me just remind you that there is a question and answer section here. If you have a question, please post it in the chat box or use the Q&A that we may be able to address your questions, especially those of you who are listening and not on the panel. Our next speaker, give me a second here. We'll be talking about eradicating discrimination in social systems, and that will be Dr. Rashiri, Certified Scrum Master and Senior Project Manager of GovitWorks, LLC from Washington, D.C. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I hope everybody can hear me loud and clear. And good morning to everyone. Thank you for that introduction, Dr. Lisa. Currently, also, I am a Mrs. Tourism USA Universe 2024 as a reigning queen. And I feel privileged to talk about and being part of, to talk about the child, how important they are. I really and truly believe that everything makes difference when we start from one, and now it will go to two and many. If we make changes in ourselves on how we are reflecting to our community, to our family, to our child, that will reflect to everyone. That's how I feel like, and that's how the viral positiveness that can go to everywhere. I just want to give a small story of myself. And I think that has given me so much of a power to advocate to the child and support the child. When I was one day, and I was born in Nepal, I was one day, and as I was born as a girl, my parents, they just ignored me, they left me in the trash, and they ran away from the hospital. In Nepal, there is so many gender discrimination happens when it's a girl. They don't want it to take that liability, and girl would be taken as a liability to the society. So they just ran away, abandoned me in the cold trash in month of October, and that's when I was born. The mom now, which is my mom right now, she was walking for her regular visiting doctor, and she heard this sound of crying from the trash can, and then she just hold me from the trash to her arm. And ever since, she has given me so much love, so much empathy, and so much power to do anything that I want, regardless of I'm a gender of a woman or whatever it is. It didn't matter to her at all. So what I'm trying to say is, because of her, this noble step that she took in her life to make a difference in my life, without even thinking how hard it is going to be in her financial situation or thing, that has given me so much of a power to do anything now, right? So this is just a small example of what I am right now, is because of a kind heart person has given me, and thinking that the children is a future, she could be a future of anything. And that's how I was raised. So in this, in this day, and it matters to me a lot when it talks about children, when it talks about kindness. um, I'm a big advocate to that, because the children are really a hope and a future of a family, of a community, and a country. We never know what that children can be and can do in our next generation. So many children around the world are still facing so much of a hunger, like I said, discrimination, violence, lack of education. Even in our own community, if you look around, children struggles with anxiety, bullying, loneliness, and pressure. But why it would be? It's because as a unit, as a family, we don't pay much of attention of how they are going through. Even though they are not voicing what they are going through, we have to be vigilant on look at their action of how they are speaking or how they are acting, so that we can mentor them. We can be their friend and then learn them and listen to them. And I think in this noble day, in this beautiful day, I wanted to say thank you to Dr. Aida for including me in this such a place where I can actually put my voice and show me as myself as an example, where I have made a small change to my community as well, of doing what I'm doing just because there was one woman who have given me that support, right? So there could be so many families, so many human beings that can support to so many other kids who are actually unprivileged. So today, whoever are listening, all the childs are important, they are worthy, their dream matters, and let's promise to create a world where every child can learn freely, grow safely, and dream without limits. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you, my dear sister. It's good to see you as well.
Yes.
Um, excuse me. We're going to hear from the voice of a child, and that will be Miss Olivia Davis, and she is a student at the Irina, excuse me. She is a student at the Irina Manakaya School. Miss Olivia Davis.
Good day, everyone. My name is Davis Olivia. I'm a pupil from Aminakia Nursery Primary School, Onisha, in Nigeria. I am 8 years old. I am in primary 5. I speak today not just for myself, but for millions of children whose voices are still waiting to be heard. I am a child. I may be small, but my dreams are big. I may be young, but my rights are real. Every child, no matter where they live, what language they speak, or how much money their families has, deserve to be saved, to be loved, to be educated, and to be free. We have the right to go to school, not to be forced into work or war. We have the right to clean water and food, not to go to bed hungry. We have the right to be protected, not to be hurt or ignored. We have the right to speak, not for someone to listen. But so many children are still waiting for justice, waiting for peace, waiting for someone to care, waiting to go to school, and waiting for good health and security. So I ask you, what can we do? We can listen, not with too loud voice, but with two quiet ones. To the girl who walks for miles of water, to the boy who dreams of school but cannot go, to the child whose silence is a cry for help. We can act. We can make laws that protect us. We can build schools and clinics. We can stop child trafficking, violence, and poverty. We can make sure every child voice is seen, heard, and safe. We can believe that children are not just the futures. We are the present. We are the leaders, thinkers, artists, and peacemakers right now. So please, don't just talk about our rights. Help us lead them. Don't just promise justice. Make it happen. Because when you protect a child, you protect the world. When you lift a child, you lift humanity. Thank you for hearing my voice. Now, let's make sure every child voice is heard. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Miss Davis. We appreciate you and your voice as you spoke on behalf of all children, and you spoke so eloquently. I look forward to seeing you at the UN speaking. Amen. At this time, it has been my pleasure to be your moderator for this portion of the Universal Child's Day. And at this time, I will turn it over to my co-moderator, Her Excellency, Dr. Latonia Copeland, Co-Director General for the Children Affairs of the International Consultancy Cabinet for the Word of Life Ministries, which we affectionately call WOMI.
Oh, greetings and thank you. I have to give it back to you, Prophetess Parks, for doing such an outstanding job. And I'll tell you, the last two panelists, Dr. Rashid and student Olivia, it just gives me hope and inspires me for the work that I do and the passion I have for youth development. It is just inspiring, and thank you for being here. I will be speaking to you today, before we move to the next speaker. I'll be speaking to you on the topic of empowering children in rural areas through safe digital channels. During COVID-19 pandemic, more than 90% of countries were forced to create some type of digital educational platform. That's due to school closures. Data from UNESCO, UNICEF, World Bank survey on national education responses found that more than 463 million students around the globe remained cut off from education. That was mainly due to lack of remote learning policies and lack of equipment needed for learning at home. So how do we address with the digital technology advancement? How do we address safe education? I've listed 8 effective, practical, safe ways to empower children in rural areas using both digital and non-digital channels designed to protect them, build their skills, and also expand opportunities. Number 1, provide safe, supervised digital learning spaces. This is by creating communities with tech hubs and school-based digital corners where devices are monitored and content is approved and child safe. These sessions should be supervised by trained teachers or volunteers. This ensures that the children can explore digital learning without exposure to harmful online content. Number 2, use offline compatible learning apps. Many rural areas struggle with low or unstable internet. Tools that work offline can still deliver high quality education. 3 suggestions: Khan Academy Lite, that's KHAN Academy Lite. Kolibri, that's KOLIBRI. Usted Mobile. I have downloaded Kolibri and I am exploring it, and it is very informative. It has a wealth of information. It is a safe offline platform, and I am working to utilize that as I travel to educate youth abroad. These platforms allow children to learn safely without the constant need to internet connectivity. Number 3, create verified educational WhatsApp or SMS groups for community where there are smartphones and internet is sometimes limited. Use closed WhatsApp groups for assignments, instructions, and voice notes. Teachers can moderate the groups to ensure safe connectivity. Parents can also be added to the groups for transparency. Number 4, promoting digital literacy and safety training. Empower children by teaching them how to identify, how to have safe online behavior, and to identify unsafe online behavior, how to protect their personal information, and how to report suspicious messages or cyberbullying. Training can be delivered through fun role plays, posters, or inactive sessions. Number 5, youth development clubs or after school tech groups like robotics, coding, digital storytelling, photography, or media literacy. These should be supervised sessions. Number 6, parental involvement and digital awareness. Parents may not be digitally literate, so we have to educate the parents on basic phone safety and monitoring tools. While digital learning is valuable, empowered parents can create a safe learning environment. Number 7, train teachers to use digital tools safely. Teachers should be empowered with training, guidelines on child online protection, and tools to integrate digital content into the lessons. And the last one is number 8, build local content into local languages. Children can connect better when the digital materials highlight their culture, use their mother tongue, and address real community challenges. This will boost their confidence and understanding. I hope that through the different techniques that I have shared, you will find something there that you will be able to use to continue to inspire, educate our youth safely in the digital space. Thank you. Our next speaker will be speaking on the topic of family and inclusive environment for children. She is the president of Family Support Services Network, Inc. Our panelist is LaShawn Crumpler. Panelist Crumpler, are you online with us?
Yes, I'm trying to share my screen. Just give me
Okay.
a second. A warm welcome to each of you. I'm LaShawn Crumpler, president of Family Support Services Network, Incorporated. I'm excited to share insights on families creating an inclusive environment for their children. As an educator and lifelong learner, the mission of our organization reflects the families and children. Our mission at Family Support Services Network is designed to provide support and a continuum of services for families through a referral network with other agencies, schools, programs, and community groups whose services and programs best meet the needs of the families. Points that I would discuss: what is inclusion, understanding inclusion, some ideas on inclusion, an overview, why are inclusive settings important, 3 key factors, elements of an inclusive environment, family engagement, ways families can help, reasons for helping families, and the importance of an inclusive environment. What's inclusion? Inclusion enriches society by fostering a culture of respect, empathy, and understanding for all. Therefore, an environment where everyone can contribute to and participate in all aspects of society, regardless of their background, disabilities, or belief, is created. Understanding inclusion. We should acknowledge differences. We should greet differences until differences make no differences. Some ideas on inclusion. Take a moment to reflect on what inclusion means to you. I will move on to the next slide. Overview of inclusion. When considering ways to create an inclusive environment for families, it is important to consider their unique set of identities. As families in America become increasingly diverse, professionals working with children and families must expand their knowledge, practices, and policies to respond sensitively and effectively to their needs. Inclusion is support, and we should have to make a case for. We shouldn't have to convince other people of their value of belonging. Inclusion isn't. 3 key factors of inclusion. A respect for every child's right contributes greatly to inclusive settings. The first key factor is inclusive early childhood settings. The second key factor is teachers promote inclusive settings. And the third key factor is teachers must be aware of inclusive settings. Why are inclusive settings so important? There is a national and international legislation that supports human rights. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, 1989, promotes rights of children worldwide. The Human Rights Act of 1993 states that people from birth to adulthood should be respected regardless of who they are. The Special Education Policy 2000 was introduced in 1996 with the intention of ensuring that children's individual needs are met with segregation. I'm a strong supporter of special education as a former special education teacher. Vision for an inclusive environment for children. As a community of stakeholders promoting trust with families universally, creating opportunities where children can unapologetically express themselves and freely take risks in their development and learning. Different is not wrong, it's just different. Elements of an inclusive environment. Further, the degree to which parents and students feel accepted at a child's school has consistently been linked to children's sense of belonging at school, self-esteem, well-being, and mental health. The 3 elements are a welcoming environment, representation, and a meaningful inclusion. Family engagement is a cornerstone of creating an inclusive environment for children. Family engagement leading to enriched social experiences is a significant predictor of children's cognitive skills and social emotional skills, including motivation, attention, impulse control, and self-confidence. Families are key advocates and valuable resources supporting their children's learning and development. If every child knows a little about the wisdom from the different cultures, the world would be a happier and nicer place. 5 ways families can help. Number 1, ways families can help. Parents' early experiences in educational settings shape their children's understanding of expectations for schooling throughout their child's academic career. 2, parents who are more connected to the program or school are more engaged in their child's experience, which has positive implications for children's academic functioning and social integration. 3, here's a quote. You are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. Number 3, encouraging their children to appreciate differences through discussions and shared activities. 4, actively engaging with early childhood settings and sharing their cultural traditions and experiences. The 5th ways families can help. Families can support their children's development by practicing empathy. Reasons for helping families. As a community, inclusion is an ongoing process that requires commitment, reflection, and collaboration between staff, families, and the community. In diversity, there's a beauty and there is a strength. In conclusion, the importance of an inclusive environment for children. It is paramount to protect children's rights to uphold equity and social justice. There are national and international legislation that support human rights, such as UNCROC, Education, Early Childhood Services, Regulations 2008, Social Justice and Inclusion Education, enabling environments is what most families wish for. And I thank you and I yield.
Thank you, Ms. Crumpler, for such a informative presentation. Thank you for promoting awareness of inclusivity as relates to children with disabilities and diversity. Our next panelist will be speaking on the topic of parents and inclusive environment for children. It's the chairman of PTA, Irene Menacana School, Barrister Festus Alfabero.
He's having challenges with his camera. Barrister Festus, are you there? Oh my God.
I thought I saw him earlier.
Yes, he's having some issues with his phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Barrister, I can see you on attendee. Can you come over to the panel room?
Okay.
I'm promoting you to come over to the panel room. Can you accept and come over?
Maybe he wants to be an attendee.
Yeah. Hello? Okay, Ambassador, you can go to the next speaker. Whenever he comes, we take him off. The next speaker is Ambassador, Her Excellency Ambassador Dr. April Trupiano.
Okay.
Hold on, let me see whether he's coming in. It's like he just accepted to come in. Yeah, you can come in and speak without the camera because you just have to. Okay, go in whenever he comes. We wait for him after Ambassador.
Yes, so
Let's
let's move on to our next panelist. Professor Ada, will you just, or Professor Parks, will you just speak to Ambassador Alfabero via text message and have him to be ready after the next speaker? Our next next panelist will be speaking on the topic of mothers and inclusive environment for children. She is the director of Legacy Services, Department of Leadership and Women, WAMI ICC. Her Excellency, Dr. April Trupiana.
Thank you so much. Greetings and blessings. I am so encouraged and inspired by everything that we've heard today. So I just thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak on this topic today. Children are where my heart is. So I will just get directly into it today as we gather in honor of Universal Children's Day under the beautiful theme, Inclusion for Every Child. I speak directly to mothers. And when I say mother, I mean every woman who mothers a child, whether that child is yours by birth, by family, or by community. Where we are is where children first learn what it means to belong. Before children ever step into a classroom, onto a playground, into society at large, they experience belonging or the lack of it in our arms, in our homes, and through our words and actions. So I want to share how we can intentionally create environments where every child feels safe and valued and heard while still maintaining the loving authority that children desperately need. Proverbs 31:26 tells us that she opens her mouth with wisdom and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. And this is our mandate as mothers, to lead with both wisdom and kindness, authority and inclusion. These are not opposites. Indeed, they are partners in raising whole and healthy children. Motherhood presents us with a sacred opportunity We're often our children's first teachers of belonging and acceptance and self-worth. And the way that we love them unconditionally and consistently becomes the internal compass for how they see themselves and how they treat others. Scripture reminds us in Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. The foundation that we lay in these early years has lasting impact. That's something we have to always remember. This isn't just about teaching manners or academics. It's also about training their hearts to understand that they are loved, they are valued, and they are created with purpose. And this is why one of the most powerful phrases we can embed in our children's hearts is simply this: no matter what, I love you. No matter what grades you bring home, no matter what mistakes you make, no matter how different you are from what you expected or what others expect, or even what I expect, I love you. And here's what's beautiful. This unconditional love doesn't undermine our authority. It strengthens it. Children who feel securely loved are more likely to respect and trust our guidance. They understand that our rules come from love, not from power or domination. Our no carries weight because I love you is unshakable. And this unconditional acceptance builds both confident and compassionate children. Children who know that they belong are far more likely to make space for others to belong as well. And this inclusion we practice at home ripples outward, raising inclusive children who become inclusive adults and breaking cycles of discrimination and building bridges of understanding. But how do we practically create these safe spaces while maintaining our authority? It starts with intentional communication. Intentional communication that respects our children's dignity without diminishing our roles as leader in our homes. One of the most effective things that I have seen time and time again that we can do is to physically get down to our children's eye level. When we need to communicate something important to them, being at eye level can make a huge difference. Whether we're giving instruction or offering correction or just listening to their concerns, we kneel, we sit, we position ourselves where we can look directly into their eyes. Now, to be clear, this isn't about becoming their peers or treating them as equals in any kind of decision making, right? This is about effective communication and respect for their human dignity. When we're at eye level, our authority doesn't decrease. It actually becomes more effective because our children can receive our words without fear, without defensiveness, and without any of that clouding the message. For a child, eye level communication shows them that even though we're in charge, they matter. They learn that authority doesn't require distance or intimidation. And for our relationship, it builds trust and opens pathways for honest dialogue, which means that when we need to set firm boundaries or we need to deliver consequences to our children, they're more likely to receive them without feeling demeaned or afraid. But bear in mind, positioning ourselves at eye level is only part of the equation. What we say when we're there, the actual words that we speak, carries tremendous power. Proverbs 18:21 tells us death and life are in the power of the tongue. And this is not hyperbole, especially when we talk about our children. Our words literally shape our children's reality. We have the power to bless or to curse, to build or to diminish, to speak life or to speak death over their identity. When we say things like, you're so irresponsible, or you never listen, or why can't you be more like your sibling, or you're just too much, you're so difficult, we're not just describing behavior, we're defining their identity. And children will rise or they will fall to meet the identity that we speak over them. But when we speak with authority and kindness, when we say things like, you made a mistake, but that's okay, that's not who you are. I see your potential even when you cannot see it. You're capable of better choices. Then they understand that their voice matters in the family, in the community, in society, and in the world. We're speaking their future into existence. And this is the power of maternal authority when used correctly. We don't have to diminish our children in order to maintain control. We can correct behavior while affirming identity at the same time. We can set boundaries while speaking a blessing over them and their lives. We can command authority while also practicing active listening, making eye contact, acknowledging their feelings before we correct their behavior, allowing them to express themselves before we make our final decision. A child can feel heard without having veto power. I'm not an advocate of giving them veto power until they're of a certain age, right? But they can feel valued without being in control. And our words can create the atmosphere where inclusion flourishes. True inclusion means celebrating differences, not just tolerating them, celebrating differences. Within our own families, we have children with different abilities, personalities, learning styles, strengths, and struggles. The question is, does each child feel equally valued, even as we guide them differently according to their needs? We must be intentional about this. Mothers, we must be intentional. The athlete and the artist, the straight A student and the one who struggles with reading or math, the outgoing child and the quiet observer, each one needs to hear from us that their particular way of being in the world is not just acceptable, it is wonderful. They are wonderfully and divinely made, right? And each one needs our authority applied with wisdom that fits who they are. Good authority is discerning authority. We don't parent all our children exactly the same because they're not the same, because we do love them and we love them with the same intensity and we guide them with the same commitment to them being able to flourish. We must also teach our children to value others who are different from them. This means addressing our own unconscious biases and examining the messages that we send about gender, disability, race, and family structure. Are we making commitments that suggest some children are worth more than others? Are we silent when we should speak up about discrimination? Our homes absolutely must be laboratories for equity. When we ensure that no child feels less than because of who they are, we're not just practicing inclusion. We're upholding the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. We're teaching the next generation that every child has inherent dignity and inherent worth, even as they're learning to respect proper authority. Now, inclusion isn't just about being loved, it's about being heard. But let's be clear, being heard doesn't mean being in charge. Children need to know that their voices matter and their experiences are valid, but they also need to know the security of knowing that mothers and parents make the final decisions. This means creating age-appropriate opportunities for input, not control, not veto power, but input. Even young children can express preferences. Would you prefer the blue cup or the red cup? And as they grow older, we can seek their input on family activities, what to have for dinner, ask their opinion on certain decisions, and teach them how to grow respectfully and to express their thoughts respectfully. But here's the key. We listen carefully, we consider thoughtfully, and then we decide wisely. Thank you for sharing that with me. I've heard you, and here's what we're going to do. Sometimes we'll incorporate their input, and sometimes we won't. But they always know they were heard. And that's the important thing. When a child says things like, that's not fair, instead of dismissing it, we can pause and say, tell me why you feel that way. And then after listening, we can say, I understand. I understand why you feel that way. And here's why I'm still making this decision. We validate their feelings without surrendering our authority. And this becomes especially critical when our children face discrimination outside the home. Our homes have to be that sanctuary where they can process these experiences, where we believe them, we validate their pain, and then we guide them with our authority and wisdom on how to respond with both grace and strength. And here is the beautiful challenge. Our maternal care cannot stop at our own children. True inclusion means extending that protective and nurturing presence to every child in our world, every child in our sphere of influence, every child with whom we come in contact. Who are the children in your community who need a mother figure championing their inclusion? the child with a disability who's excluded from play dates, the refugee child learning a new language, the child in foster care who needs stability. We have to advocate for policies and practices that protect the most vulnerable. And we must build networks of care where no child falls through the cracks, where maternal authority is used not to control, but to protect and guide. So I leave you with this challenge. Ask yourself right now in this moment, does every child that God has placed in my path feel safe, valued, and heard under my loving authority? In your home, are you getting down to their level of communication effectively, looking them in the eye as you guide them, speaking life over them, and reminding them, no matter what, I love you? In your community, are you extending that circle of inclusion wider, using your maternal authority to advocate and protect? Mothers, we have more power than we realize, especially in the power of our words and our presence. When we lead with both strength and inclusion in our homes, we don't just change individual lives, we transform entire societies. And every child deserves to belong. Every child deserves loving, strong leadership. And it starts with us. Thank you, and I yield to the next speaker.
Oh my, just powerful. I love what you said about the importance of mothers instilling unconditional love, but also intentional communication, whether verbal or nonverbal. Thank you so much, Dr. Your Excellency, Dr. Tripiano. Okay. So now we're going to go back to Chairman and PTA of Irene Menacata School on the topic of parents and inclusive environment for children, Barrister Festus Afabero. Are you there, sir?
Excellent. Yeah, Barrister Afabero, you have the floor. Can you come up? Unmute yourself, please. Hello? Can you unmute yourself so we can hear you?
Hello.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, moderator of this program. I'm very sorry, I'm having a lot of challenges. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased, I'm honored to speak on this occasion on creating an inclusive environment for children and the role for parents in this 2025 United Nations Universal Children's Day. Please permit me to state categorically and aloud praise Madam Eileen Nwagbogo Menakaya, the founder of Eileen Menakaya Nursery and Primary School. This Eileen Menakaya Primary and Nursery School is the first ever approved nursery primary school, private primary school in Onitsha, Anambra State, that is Old Anambra State, during the administration of Jim Nwobodo. The school was founded on 1st August 1979. Going to the creating an inclusive environment for children. The role of parents. As a parent, we play a vital role in shaping the mind and heart of our children. That is very necessary. What we speak to our children matters a lot. One of the most important things we can do is to create an inclusive environment that values diversity and promote acceptance. What does that mean, and how can we do it? Understanding inclusion. We must understand inclusion. Inclusion means creating a space where every child feel welcome, valued, and respected. We should value every side, make children to feel free. That is only time they can communicate with you freely and tell you their problems. It means recognizing every child has a unique potential with his own strength, talent, weakness, needs that make him special. With due respect, you see children, everybody have a unique, a special unique. I take for instance, the Davido, the musician. The father wanted him to go to school, but insisted that he must be a musician. That is his talent. And today he's making a whole world. So we should have free, inclusive inclusion in all the children. Allow every children to be inclusive in all we are doing. We help children to develop empathy, compassion, and understanding for others. That is the role of parents. We can do as to create inclusive environment in our children. We need to model inclusive ourselves. We need to model inclusive in our behavior ourselves. This means treating others with kind, respect, empathy, and regardless of background, culture, or ability. You won't say because this person is a poor person, you will not include him. A poor child has a talent, and we need to include him to develop that talent. No matter the background of any human being, who don't know who is what tomorrow holds for anybody. You can be a son of a rich man, but you might not be the person to be at the helm of affair. Allow a child to develop his talent. Give him that free hand. Because in every society, just like our late mother, Madam Irene Nwabogo Menakaya, he was inclusive, including children, making sure that he nurtured children. And that is why the school, that is what his children, Prof and his siblings are still doing up to date. So the school, Irene Menakaya, were partnering with the school authority, the proprietors, in doing the needful to see that qualified teachers who understand the children are provided. Parents of Irene Menakaya are working hand in hand with staffs to see that there is provision of good teaching and learning environment. Unicorn to Irene Menakaya, the proprietors are trying. They are making sure that they provide a conducive environment. You put fan, electricity for the children to learn. It don't allow them to be in heat, because here in Nigeria, at times like this season we are now, is a very hot time. We need electricity, we need fan for children to study in hot environment. In Irene Menakaya, there are trees planted around the school where children feel free. We have a lot of vegetation there in the Irene Menakaya that gives the children conducive environment. Parents of Irene Menakaya are in conjunction with teachers to make sure that textbook, exercise book are being procured by parents for the effective learning of the student. We are doing our best. The teachers, we have mothers forum, we have fathers forum, we have PTD, where children interact with parents. In PTD meeting, we allow the student to interact. That is a day with students. We call it. We do with family. We do a day with the parents, whereby these parents will see the performance of their children and observe and encourage them to do their assignment and homework given to them. We have interactive session. We also create and observe cultural day. In that day of cultural day, we allow students to come with a native attire, come to school with native foods. Nevertheless, we endeavor to ask parents to do prompt payment of school fees. Because when a child doesn't pay his school fees and is being called out among his mates that he have not paid this book fee, he have not paid this school fees, it demoralizes the child. We make sure that we promote that environment of equality among all the children. Not saying that this is a child of a rich man or this is a child of a poor man. Inclusive environment is what we are making sure in our school, that every child feel free and feel welcome. A child that is not good in mathematics, everybody must not be a mathematician. That is not good in science, there is area that the child can perform wonderfully well. So all we'll do is to make sure that we monitor the teachers who have qualified teachers to monitor the children and know where the area they specialize in. Because I know too well that primary nursery school is the foundation. That is why in Anambra, in Nigeria, we call it basic education. Basic education in the sense that it lays the foundation for you. If you don't have that basic education, you cannot have your stand. You cannot have your way in the university. So we are also having a very good relationship with class teachers and the staff of the school. We encourage the parents, encourage the parents to be in good relationship with the parents. If your teacher or you are not in good relationship with the teacher of your child, the teacher might at your back not be doing the needful to the child. So we don't pay special attention to any child. We want everybody to be inclusively involved in all we are doing in Arab Menakaya. There are practical tips that we have. The practical tips, some of the practical tips to create inclusive environment are: one, avoiding using language that exclude or type a certain group. You don't use vulgar language on any child. You are useless, you don't know this thing. You don't do things like that. When a child makes mistake, you correct the child and tell him the way. There are some languages of you voice out to children. It will keep to be repeating, reoccurring in their memory. So we avoid using such language. We celebrate diversity, different cultural tradition, festival with our children to know that where they are coming from, to know where they are coming from. We encourage empathy. We teach our child to put themselves in other shoes and understand the feeling. Because if you put yourself in another person's shoe, that is when you understand that if I do this thing, it's just like when you pinch yourself, you see the pain. You will know that when you pinch another person, the person is going to feel the same thing. So we allow them to put them in another. These are the tips. Then to be open-minded. You have to be open-minded. Who are open-minded people? We'll be open-minded to different perspective, opinion. Encourage our children to do same. Because they are child. The way you train them, that is the way they go. If you train a child well, he will grow up to be a good person. The society we are living in starts from family, the little children. If we are not good, the parents who are not good to them, they will grow up seeing us that we are not good. Then they will start to exhibit such characters. In conclusion, my dear, creating an inclusive environment for children is crucial for emotional, social, cognitive development. As parents, we have a responsibility to model inclusive behavior, expose our children to diversity, encourage empathy and understanding. I think by doing that, we can help our children grow into compassionate, open-minded, and inclusive individuals who make positive impact in the whole world. When these things, little I say, are done and more is done, that our motto, my child is my pride, is short. Because without carrying these children, being in good relationship with them, be free-minded with them, they will not be emulating it. Like the speaker said, you train a child in the way he's grown, that when he grows up, he won't part from it. That is a Bible, that is a wording from the Bible. He will never part from it. Thank you. Thank you very much, and may God bless us.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Chairman. Thank you for your diligence. You know, sometimes technology try to get us, but God has to say so, right? He has to find them. I highlight that you said every child is unique, and we need to model inclusive ourselves and be the example. So thank you again. So we've had a lot of great, it's been very informative, but this brings us to implementation. It's call to action. Shifting paradigm for every child. So our next panelist will share on the topic of upholding the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. She is the Director General of Children Affairs of the International Consulting Cabinet of Word of Life Ministries, Apostle Dr. Sevilla Prestel.
Praise God. Good morning, everybody. I bless you and I thank you so much for everything that you've done, for everything that you brought forth. And distinguished ambassadors, I want to thank you for Her Excellency LaTanya Copeland for the introduction. I bless you. I am in my element. I'm where I belong. I love children. That's what I do. So as we stand here today, I want to designate and describe specific elements of the 2030 agenda for the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. First of all, we bring to mind an issue that is making headlines. It's causing disruption of our peace. It's the well-being of our families. It's continuing in such a vast numbers, more vast than we could ever imagine. It's the issue of human trafficking. The horrific problem often precluded by domestic violence must be completely dismantled and eradicated, especially when it comes to our children. In a recent article published by the UN on understanding human trafficking, we find that there are 6 categories: forced labor, sexual exploitation, forced criminality, forced marriage, forced begging, organ removal, a big word, forced. The International Labor Organization estimates that 49.6 million people in 2025 are currently trapped in modern slavery, which includes both forced labor and forced marriage. But I'm reminded that in 1998, there was a march to Geneva, Switzerland, and it was done by thousands of youth who mobilized over 7 million people over 103 countries, and they cried, "No more child labor." They continue to cry. And we must continue to cry. If a march of that many children can walk into a Geneva, Switzerland facility and say, we demand you to make international laws that affect us as children. No more forced labor, no more sexual exploitation. But we find that it's increasingly more sophisticated. It is more vulnerable populations, and it's including entire families, many times because of poverty, displacement, and gender inequality. I would like to pose to you that we need to spend our time lobbying, asserting pressure on legislators, training youth to become legislators, to fight for our families. There are 4 articles in the Convention for Children's Rights that are general principles. 1, non-discrimination. 2, best interest of the child. 3, right to life, survival and development. And 4, right to be heard. This makes the Convention on the Rights of a Child the most widely ratified human rights treaty in history, with 198 states party. But guess what? 2 countries are not completely bound by it. Supplementally, as my last update, there are 2 United Nations member states that have not even ratified the Convention on the Rights of the Child. The United States of America has not ratified.
Tell them.
The Tonga has not ratified it. But the UN Convention also contains a number of agreements that are optional for countries. While the focus is often on the main convention, it's crucial to look at the optional protocols, which means a country can make the choice as to how they're going to enforce it. Many countries that have ratified the main Convention on the Rights have not ratified the stronger, more specific agreements. The United States has opted not to attend the G20 meetings with the nations in South Africa this year, though it's already passed that the United States will lead the G20 next year. Women in South Africa are now demonstrating against gender-based violence in South Africa, proposing to bring it to the G20 summit. This includes our children. How will this baton pass to the United States? Who will advocate is being shaped right now. In summary, of the 3 protocols that are optional, it's armed conflict, protecting children from war. They have passed a resolution that prevents children under 18 from being recruited. It prevents them from participating in hostilities. 175 ratifications. There are over 198 nations. What's going on with the rest of these nations? Number 2, the sale, prostitution, and child pornography, combating severe exploitation. The criminalization of sale of children, child prostitution, and child pornography. Guess what? Only 180 ratifications. Where are the countries that are not ratifying this? Where are the countries that are optionally not endorsing this, not enforcing it? Communications, access to justice, allowing children to bring complaints to the UN committee if locally in their country they can't get a remedy. Only 50 ratifications. Why do we need people to wake up? To insist that these negotiables be ratified and optionals become trackable and reportable evidence with measurable solutions in every nation. Of the optional protocol, countries like Iran, Iraq, Myanmar, Somalia have not accepted children being under 18 years old before going into conflict. Countries like Haiti, Iraq, Jamaica, and the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea are not parties to the optional protocol on the sale of children. child prostitution, and child pornography. The protocol, which allows children to bring the complaints to the United States, guess what? UK, Germany, France, Canada, Australia, and China have not ratified this. Only in global reports on human trafficking, we find that many countries are not even listed. I want to share something with you. I interviewed a pastor just before I did this summit in the United States. The pastor said, one of my members just admitted to selling her children. I grimaced. I said, what? He said, there was so much poverty in their family. They had 9 children. This is 30 miles away from me. And the mother had decided that I need to sell my children. She even gave witness of how the people that she sold them to were injecting drugs into an 11-year-old to numb her private parts so that they could penetrate. Sales of children is not even a measurable tool right now. We need measurable. We need measurable. We need people that ask for it. In Ukraine, 2 million children were reported to have left. Many have arrived as unaccompanied minors. UNICEF cried out to the NGOs. We are needed. We represent the NGOs to rise to protect those children. But we can list other countries, Myanmar, Gaza, Mexico. We could go on and on. Recently in Haiti, 2 Texas men were indicted for plotting to invade a whole Haitian island, kill every man, and enslave women and children to force them into sex slavery. Prosecutors say their plan was part of a disturbing fantasy that they wanted to act out in real life. They were stopped and caught. We need more of that. Solutions. What can we do? Acts 19:11. Now God worked unusual miracles by the hands of Paul. He can use your hands. He can use your mind. He can use your commitments to work miracles. We can plaster our prayer walls with stickies all over saying, we want more stings. We want more arrests. We want more indictments. We can begin teaching and educating others against human trafficking, as our department has committed to do, and we're joining forces with other departments in every place possible to train on how to avoid human trafficking. We can get in touch with the wealthy that you know and seek to develop safe places. I have a friend now who's building houses in Texas to be able to bring safety to children. What if we have a sting and we capture 122 children? Where are we going to take them? Are you a safe place? Can you afford a safe place? Head a project, an AI technical training teaching how to capture criminals. Be a strategic leader who uses good given talents to strategize and get our youth to lobbying in that UN convention. The Aware Foundation in Virginia is reporting the missing children from their state. And now they've collected a report for every state in the United States. For the first half, use your nonprofit to do something that helps eradicate. In our children's department, we have Seed Life Foundation that's offering mental health and peer support to families and being invited into the schools to meet directly with the children. We have youth development labs, full department trainings on human trafficking 101, appointments, continued education. We're beginning to give scholarships to children, to youth ambassadors, just to allow them to go forward, to train them in self-identity, kingdom purpose, protocol and diplomacy, international law. In every setting, people say, I can't work with children. I'm not called to work with children. Well, then let's pray. Let's pray for miracles, that God will give you a heart, a mind, a push the way he's giving us to develop, to strengthen, or get off your seat. Expect and believe for miracles. Start. Just start. And I decrease. Thank you.
Wow, powerful, so powerful. You know, I thank you, Dr. Purcell, for highlighting the 2030 UN agenda and just, you know, really getting deep into the multiple issues of human trafficking as it relates to the specific countries. And yes, we have lots of work to do. We have two more panelists, and then we're going to have our commission and our closing remarks. So thank you for all standing by. Our next panelist is the UN Chief Representative of Irene Menakana Schools, Onitsha, UN Headquarters, New York, His Excellency Ambassador Devin Bannister.
Thank you very much, moderator. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And a pleasant good morning, good afternoon to each and every one of you. Those of you that are joining us here in the US or in Nigeria or any other part of the world, I greet you based on your time zone. And to all you wonderful panelists that's here, thank you very much for joining us on this very important United Nations recognition that we are paying towards children. So just to give a quick shout out in regards to all of our speakers, just from us having this conversation here and discussion, I am very much happy to let everyone know that our young speaker, Ms. Olivia, a panelist someone has opted to pay for school fees for the next term beginning January of next year. So this is what these kind of meetings brings about when we have conversations like these, where we shine the light, we shed light, we expose things that needs exposing so we can be able to find solutions. So with that being said, I want to encourage others before I get into my presentation. I want to encourage others to take up the initiative to make that, challenge yourself so that you can be able to sponsor another child. We have many of them that are being sponsored, and sometimes the sponsors extends beyond the child and go all the way into the child's home. So I want you to take time in doing such. So with that being said, distinguished delegates, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is a profound honor to address you today at this wonderful, auspicious occasion. Before you, I am His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Devin Bannister. I'm the Chief Representative of Irene Menakaya Schools to the United Nations, alongside my two colleagues that will be speaking. One spoke already. Her Excellency Apostle Dr. Sevilla Prestel, who is the Director General for Children Affairs, and then coming right after me would be the one and the only His Excellency Dr. Dennis Antoine, the former Vice President for the United Nations General Assembly 69th session. So today we want to, I know we're looking at the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. What I want to do is I want us to look at it when it comes to some of the things that we have done, looking at Irene Menakaya Schools from the lens of the United Nations and how we have impacted. I know the PTA chairman has shared some of the groundbreaking accomplishments that we have made, and I will take the time now to just shed a little bit of light on what we have done and how we are targeting and we are accomplishing our goal when it comes to the rights of the child, regardless of background, ability, or circumstances diverse dignity, opportunity, and future field will promise. So our call today is urgent yet straightforward. Shifting the paradigm for every child. For 50 years, approximately 50 years, the Irene Menakaya schools in Nigeria have produced generations of leaders, doctors, engineers, artists, entrepreneurs, diplomats who excel worldwide. So these successes are not accidental, right? They are the fruit of a philosophy rooted in our motto, which we've heard before by our previous speaker, the chairman. My child is my pride. And I know each of us can say that about our children. Our children is our pride. So this motto is more than a slogan to us. It is a clarion call to families, to communities, nations, to recognize that when we invest in children, we invest in the future of humanity. So permit me to reflect on some interesting words which I love, and I know many who know me know I love these words. If you think education is expensive, try ignorance. So ignorance breeds poverty, inequality, and conflict. Education, by contrast, builds bridges across cultures, empowers communities, and secures the foundations of peace. So at Irene Menakaya schools, we have seen firsthand how access to quality learning transform lives, families, and entire communities. So we believe that education is not only about literacy and numeracy, it is about identity, belonging, and the preservation of values that sustain societies. So in ECOSOC with ECOSOC consultative status, the Irene Menakaya School has brought the voices of African children to the global stage. We participate actively in UN forums on education, social development, and cultural preservations. Our mission is twofold. One, to ensure that African culture and heritage are imparted to every child, grounding them in identity and pride, and to extend this legacy across African nations through initiatives such as the Right Honorable Professor Philip Finn, Africa's Cultural Day, which celebrates diversity and strengthens cultural diplomacy. And then we have education. As we practice it, it's diplomacy at its most fundamental level. When children learn empathy through drama, teamwork through sports, and responsibility through moral education, they are laying the foundations for societies that value dialogue over conflict, cooperation over division, and sustainability over exploitation. Through the Barjuni and Irene Menakaya Foundation International, we have expanded our reach beyond Nigeria, creating programs that align with the UN 2030 agenda. These include the rural and digital learning, initiatives, delivering affordable remote education to underserved communities, global teachers' classrooms and community education centers, equipping educators and learners with tools for sustainable development, scholarship programs, supporting less privileged families to ensure no child is left behind, and advocacy at UN social development forums, promoting equality, cultural diversity, and social justice. These initiatives demonstrate that our institution is not only a school, but a movement for transformation. Looking ahead, we are embarking on a landmark 2026 project to expand and build a new Irene Menakaya School facility. This project will serve as a hub for innovation, inclusion, and global learning. It will integrate digital classrooms, accessible infrastructure for children with disabilities, and space dedicated to cultural exchange. As we prepare for our 50th anniversary, Irene Menakaya Schools has mapped out a 4-year pre-anniversary program that includes renovation and modernization of facilities, establishing the school as United Nations 2030 SDG 4 Center for Rural Community Education, which we've already been doing, but we want to expand that more, and expanding access to children with disabilities, ensuring that no child is left behind. This vision is not only for Nigeria, but for Africa and the world. We invite the global community to join us in rebranding and strengthening this vision for the next 50 years. The paradigm shift we seek requires partnerships, resources, and solidarity. Support us in building inclusive, sustainable educational infrastructure. Partner with us to extend African cultural education across nations. So please stand with us to uphold the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child in practical, transformative ways. Together, we can ensure that Irene Menakaye School continues to serve as a beacon of excellence and inclusion for generations to come. So in closing, let us remember, again I say, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. The cost of neglecting our children is too high. The dividends of investing in them are immeasurable. For 50 years, Irene Menakaye School has proven that every child can succeed when given pride, culture, and opportunity. With your support, we will ensure that the next 50 years shine even brighter for Africa, for the world, and for every child. So come next year, 2026, August 1st, we will be launching a number of initiatives, a number of things which we covet your support, we covet your prayers, and I will say boldly, as the chairman, as the chief executive as well, boldly, please don't let your checkbook be afraid to come and be a part. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Your Excellency, Ambassador Bannister. Thanks for all you do in the areas of education with Irene Menakaye schools and overall, and your advocacy for, global expansion. Thank you. Next, we'll move right on to your peer, His Excellency, Dr. Dennis Antoine, former Vice President, UN General Assembly 69 session.
Well, distinguished panelists and the global representatives of Irene Menakaye schools and foundations, or Professor Ada Okika, and I see my distinguished His Excellency Prince Osita, and of course our final speaker here. I think we have been in this forum for quite a while. This morning I have listened, and I don't know, maybe I just need to say I agree with everything I heard. However, the mention that a changing paradigm seems to suggest something is being replaced with a new and different way about upholding the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. Now, if so, at this moment, let us remind ourselves that the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child has and remains a cornerstone in advocating children's rights globally. However, when we look at the modification happening in our societies, we find that technology is quickly becoming a substitute for human nurturing imposed between parent and child. Despite evidence of significant achievements in legislation, policy changes, and improved conditions for protecting children, many children face barriers to enjoying their rights especially in the poorest and most vulnerable situations where many challenges remain. So let us take note that the principles of the convention, such as non-discrimination, the best interest of the child, and the rights of the child, survival and development, continue to influence global laws and practices. However, its full realization requires continuing advocacy, political will, and resources to address the unique challenges faced by children in this moment. So, the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child is the most universally accepted human rights treaty in history. Could you imagine, with all that's happening, if we didn't have it, how it could have been so worse? However, today, it is most important for those of us gathered here in this conference to accept the charge, to stand up as chief stakeholders and active advocates, messengers, foot soldiers. We must be torch bearers that represent true examples of critical positions as mothers, as fathers, teachers, nurses, doctors, government leaders, civil society activists. And I was so pleased to feel the religious tone that came out in 2 or 4 speakers here today, or panelists. So the religious community and elders, corporate tycoons, and especially media professionals, as well as young people. We heard Olivia this morning, and children that will carry the tenets of the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child beyond the noise and the chaos in our society. You know, we have to perhaps realize that those of us who understand can make a speech about what's going on. But we must go beyond the speeches. To achieve the future we want, we must embrace our roles as being most important leading actors in making the Universal Children's Day relevant for shaping our societies, communities, and nations. Now, today, the declaration and convention that we call to mind today, recognize that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights, and that children are distinct, independent right holders. However, children's rights are increasingly being eroded by poverty, water insecurity, climate change, displacement, conflict, and other crises. On this Universal Children's Day, to date, 196 countries have ratified the Convention on the Rights of the Child, making it the most widely ratified human rights treaty in the world. So it's very, very needed. It is needed. Yet, today, almost 333 million children live in extreme poverty without reliable access to food, clean water, shelter, and healthcare. Can we truly say that we're celebrating International Children's Day? Now, these declarations, can we say that we're doing it with pride and joy? While there are children with no rights to food, healthcare, and education and protection from exploitation. Now, however, we have to recognize that the Declaration took the bold steps of asserting the rights of all children and made it the duty of international community to put children's rights as highest priority in planning. So that's a very positive thing. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, which was mentioned earlier, embodies the uppermost aspiration for a bright future for the world's children. Now, the Sustainable Development Goals are a conclusive opportunity to help children realize their rights in all countries. Therefore, children's rights and well-being must be placed at the forefront of human rights as an imperative. So, in saying thanks to those who advocated for children's rights before us, before those of us before this camera today, we must salute those who stood up and adopted the UN Convention on Children's Rights in 1989. They were before us. They had the vision that we need to do something, because all countries that sign are bound by international law, not ratifying it. All countries that sign are bound by international law to ensure its implementation. Now, in accordance with the Committee on the Rights of the Child, that's CRC, that is the 18 independent expert that monitors implementation of the Convention on the Rights of the Child by state parties. So the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child is the only international human rights treaty that gives non-government organizations, NGOs, like Save the Children, a direct role in overseeing its implementation as prescribed in Article 45 of the Convention. Now, distinguished colleagues, Universal Children's Day can no longer be a day just for speeches to celebrate children for who they are, but also to raise awareness and response to the scream of children around the globe that are experiencing violence and abuse, exploitation and discrimination. Too many children are misused in some countries as laborers, plunge into armed conflict, living in the streets, and made to suffer. In closing, let us celebrate the vision. Let us celebrate the vision and the efforts of pioneers like Irene Menakaya School and Foundation and Bajuni Irene Menakaya Foundation. We have to celebrate the vision of these pioneers for the will to promote national and global awareness and the courage to ignite action for education solutions in Africa, especially in the rural communities, actions that will result in a global commission soon to be accorded. Now, as we conclude this event and my intervention, I would like that our vigilance must be on no child being left behind. Thank you very kindly.
Thank you so much, His Excellency, Dr. Antoine. You know, if I may narrate, you brought so many points today, but there's one that really stood out to me. And you said, while the UN is the cornerstone for child rights, today it is most important for us to accept the charge as stakeholders and stand up and advocate on the rights of the child. So thank you for all of your wealth of information. So next we will we'll move to our last speaker for today. And we'll have a global commission, and then following we'll have closing remarks. But it is from none other than our Chancellor of Sika International University and Director General of Walmai Ministries, His Excellency, the Right Honorable Dr. Philip Finn. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Pleasant good morning, good afternoon to all the distinguished guests, the distinguished ambassadors that are here today. Just want to thank everyone for participating. And as previous speakers have said, it is not just giving speeches or talking, but at the same time, causing an awareness of what is really happening with our children globally. And not only to state what is happening, but also to light our own candles, to do something to solve the problem rather than just keep, highlighting it and talking about it. The Bible says, "Lo, children are an heritage of the Lord," according to Psalm 127 and verse 3, right? They are not a burden. Instead, they are like olive plants, the scripture further says. It is noteworthy that the scripture use the olive plants to describe our children. Olive plants have the ability to flourish in challenges, circumstances. They bloom, as it were, in the desert. We as parents and caregivers have the power and the authority to prophetically align our children's destiny. We learn this from the early patriarch of the Bible. We have the example of Isaac, how he made Jacob great with 77 words of blessing. And in turn, Jacob, at this time now Israel, blessed Joseph and his sons Ephraim and Manasseh, and declared greatness upon them. The future of our children is very bright. The future is bright for our children if we dare to believe the words concerning the word of the Lord concerning them. The scripture says, "The seed of the righteous shall be mighty upon the earth. And again, all their children shall be taught of the Lord, and great shall be the peace of thy children." The fact is, with all of these promises, unless, of course, we believe them and put them into action, then nothing is going to happen. But I have first-hand experience of using them in my own life situation and helping others to appropriate these promises. And we have seen where children who were barely getting a D in school moved to honors roll. I've gone on to university and graduate with honors. We have also seen where we have taken these promises and broke the powers of darkness over children that have been on drugs. Some have been, at running with the laws that got reprieve, and on I could share with you things that we have seen lives that we've seen turn around. All right. In several different areas, you know. My adopted sons was one of our speaker today, His Excellency Dr. Devon Bannister. When I met him, you know, back in 2013, you know, he will tell you he was sick, he was dying, he was, you know, he wasn't achieving anything. He was a dropout of, so to speak. And God said, adapt him, and you know, we prayed for him, and God turned his life around, and I'm so proud of him. Look at him there today. So I
Broke,
have
busted, and
seen
disgusted.
broke, busted, and disgusted. We have seen so many that have come my way, living in poverty, drop out of school, and some of them today are millionaires. Some of them are all kinds of profession. I mean, that they're holding. So what I'm saying here is that God words never fail. You know, we have highlighted, I mean, how massive the problem is, but I want to put a little bit of the spin to show you that there is a way out. There is a positive. There is a solution. There's a God in heaven who changes life, who transforms lives, who, you know, every problem, to every problem, there is a solution, and there's no problem that God can solve. And we're here not just to highlight problems, but to solve them. And these are my few words as I yield back to the chairperson.
Your
Thank
Excellency,
you.
Daddy will still need you to commission the global on the initiative.
All right. Well, I just want to take this opportunity to declare that this is one of the projects that we are implementing to bring about a solution to the crisis that face us in our society today, especially as it pertains to our children. And so today it's my distinct privilege to commission and to declare and to decree, you know, the implementation of the African Children Cultural Day that Professor Hadda decided to name it, to put my name there. And of course, it's more responsibility on my shoulder, but I am happy to do so and will use all the energy and resources that God blessed me with to make sure that the Right Honorable Professor Philip Finn African Children Cultural Day will not just be a symbol, but a reality as we seek to address the hills and the challenges that faces especially African children at this time. And so I want to declare it done and declare it commissioned in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Dr. Finn.
So this
We
calls for a
certainly
good,
stand by your wisdom.
this calls for clap and reactions to this global commissioning of this initiative. Can we all do that? And it's not easy for someone to allow this to go in his or her name. So like everyone on this to show appreciation to this global commissioning that His Excellency has willingly surrendered his name for the African child. I want us to understand that His Excellency Right Honorable Dr. Philip Finn is a Jamaican but has love for African children. And that is why he willingly surrendered his name for this global initiative. So I want all of us to unmute ourselves and surrender to the support of this global initiative. This project had been launched at Irene Menakaya School, Onitsha, on June 16th. And the University, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, a federal university in Nigeria, Faculty of Education, is in alliance with the school on this initiative. And now we are looking at 5 African English-speaking countries in Africa to drive this for the interest of children. So I would like us to concur to this global initiative and to appreciate His Excellency Right Honorable Dr. Finn that he has found the school worthy to surrender his name for this initiative. Myself and my siblings and then the members of the board of Barrister Juni and Irene Menakaya Foundation found this worthy at this time where it seems like our culture is going out of the minds of children, of millennium children. And we know when we were growing up that our parents never failed to educate us about tradition, about culture, about religion. So most of the things we know, but we don't see them coming up on the children today. We adhere ourselves to the modern day syndrome of English culture. And then, however, there were challenges when I became globally involved. I found there are other cultures I wasn't aware of, so, and that is why this initiative come up and we are able to surrender it, not just the resolution on the Convention of the Rights of the Child, but we feel that every child has the right to understand his culture, understand the culture of his neighbor, culture of his friends, and then be able to integrate themselves into unison, multilateralism, just as the United Nations have been advocating. We won and leave no one behind. If I am a Nigerian, I should be able to know about Jamaican culture, Grenadian culture, Guyana culture, Cameroon culture, and all the rest. And this makes us the total child. And that will make me to be able to fit into the world of works and adapt myself in everywhere. When I met His Excellency Ambassador Dennis Antoine, the first thing he told me is that the Accountant General of Grenada is from Nigeria, an Igbo man. And I was touched, and I was touched, and that is everywhere. So this is what we need to understand, that cultures will make us advance, fit ourselves into anywhere. We are in a global community. If the word necessary come, I am from Nigeria, I must remain in Nigeria. What if my talent is not in Nigeria? What if my destiny is not in Nigeria? What if my heritage is in Nigeria, but exploring my global horizon to impart on my heritage is from Jamaica? So we need to advance that and we need to encourage us. And I thank God for the Department of Children Affairs that have come in partnership with us on this initiative under the leadership of Her Excellency Dr. Sylvia Pristel and Her Excellency Dr. Latonia Copeland. So I appreciate you all for your effort. And I want to acknowledge each and every one of the presenters. It pleased my heart that when I knock at the door of someone, I need you to speak on this, and they will willingly accept to do that without fear or favor. And some of us have been awake since 5 a.m. waiting for this time to join the Zoom at 8 a.m. So I appreciate each and every one of us. And the moderators, Her Excellency Ambassador Dr. Lisa Parks, oh my God, my mentor. My mentor, you said, Doctor, that when do you sleep? At 4 a.m. you were awake. When do you sleep? When do you rest? Now she's testing me here. Immediately after the shutdown and go and rest. I'll do that. Shut down and do and I'll do that, but I have to attend one very important event before I take that rest. So the school, Irene Menakaya School, have been so much into the potentials of the child. as laid by our late parents. Surprisingly, my parents all bowed together in 25 years ago, but we are reaping from what they laid down in us. We remember, myself and my siblings, when they were creating time for us, when they were telling us stories, even as how they met each other, telling us stories about family culture, the family tree, and all those ones. Even they were taking us on tours, educational tours when we are growing. And this equipment, so one of the tours that I said, I want to work with United Nations. And then my father laughed, you want to work with United Nations, only those who are intelligent. As at that time, I wasn't intelligent for him. But I believe that wherever he is, that he has seen me achieve that dream. So we are committed to the legacies they left behind. And that is why we are trying to take the school to the next level. And one of the things we did was to get the school involved with the United Nations. And since 2016, thanks to His Excellency Ambassador Denis Antoine, who gave the recommendation, who gave the support while he was the ambassador at the United Nations for us to commit the school. Because when I tell him about the school and all, he said, why don't you get it into United Nations? Then I was afraid, but he encouraged me and gave the recommendation that brought the school to what it is today. Not only that, we brought in a legacy in their honor by Juni and Irene Menakaya Foundation. And he devised, these people were committed to advancing education in communities. Why don't you establish Center for Transformative Advancement of Development in Africa? And this has been what we have been addressing all these years. So we are most grateful, and then we wish to encourage ourselves that the rights of the child is not just talking. And I'm glad that the pupil from the school, 10-year-old child, was able to speak at this all the way from Onitsha, Nigeria. And I thank God that he has projected the voice of children. And we believe that by June 16, when we are going to have another event on Professor Philip Finn African Children Cultural Day, June 16, which is the African Day of the Child, that we will be able to have more children to speak on their voices and know what they really actually want of parents. Parents don't have time, and this is not right. Tell the children your culture. Expose them to other cultures. Equip them. Even if you are paying their school fees to attend the cognitive education in schools, the other aspect of knowledge is very, very vital. My parents had us 7. 5 of us are outside Nigeria in different cultures. 1 is in Australia, 1 is in UK, 3 are in United States, in different cultures. And they have fit in, sustainably because of the foundation we received. So we are trying to tell parents to awake, give time to your children, create opportunities, and then live as His Excellency Lord Thomas told me a few days ago, that what we are doing is not just leaving a legacy, but work to create a cultural heritage club that can bring in parents, bring in children, bring in schools to advance this kind of initiatives. And that is the next line of action from January 2026, that in 2026, June 16, we'll be able to come together and all these things, and then create platform opportunities for children to get involved. Myself and Prince Osita, through the Center for SDG Global Education, we've been able to create a Youth Gather Global, where we bring in youth from across the world to adapt into the issue of integrative tendencies coming together. And we were able to have youth from Germany, Kenya, South Africa, Caribbean, Antigua, and United States come together in order to address concerns of the youth. These are what we are driving on. But most importantly is that laying the foundation for children to be strengthened, because in our culture, there are a lot of things that need to be married into the child rearing practices and development of children. And they will help them to expand. There is medicine, there is engineering, there is education, there is banking, there is management, there is diplomacy, everything in culture. Get the children to adapt into the culture. And I want to appreciate His Excellency Dr. Finn for giving me the encouragement, for giving me the impartation to drive this. And we want to drive it sustainably within the countries of Africa, and especially the English-speaking country, where we can bring in children. You know, another thing that gave me is that when I came into United Nations, every summer, I see children from China, Turkey, Korea, coming to explore United Nations. And I don't see children from Africa, you know, and it makes me to cry. Now, today, in the workforce of United Nations, these people from this area, they are more, and Africa is less. And yet we have the intelligence, we have the knowledge. So let us team together, let us support this initiative and encourage this agenda through the Dr. Philip Finn African Children Cultural Day, to advance the issue about culture and put multilateralism into the minds of children for our sustainable future. Things are going wrong. And if we don't plant culture, we might end up having children half-baked that they might not even know where they come from. And this is not right on us as parents and grandparents. And I thank every one of all the speakers for your wonderful presentation, for your time and energy, and for everything you have taken to put in that. And thank my Dr. Jide, who just arrived from Nigeria on official engagement this morning. And I told you just have to be here, and he was here. So thank everyone. And to my Brakata Brakonko. You know, when he was telling me, I don't know what to talk, I said, talk about yourself. Since you don't know what to say at your meeting, talk about yourself. And I'm surprised that he has spoken rightly. If you don't want education, try ignorance. And this is what we are doing. So I thank each and every one of you, the moderators, Ambassador Lisa, Ambassador Copeland, and all the speakers. I thank each and every one of you for your time, for your energy. And the school, my little girl, Olivia, wonderful. You see, wonderful. In fact, you made me cry when you were there. I was crying. I made me cry. I'm so proud of you. And I thank God for a panelist that says he's going to pay your school fees next term, which is starting from January. I praise God for that. I thank you for your parents. You know, the father is a management, a banker, and they are doing a good thing. So I thank you all for all you've done. And back to you, Dr. Copeland.
Okay, well, thank you,
I do not appreciate my PTA chairman, Barrister Afubera, who has made it compulsory that school will be here. Under this program, we'll have the school teachers, the school executive director, Mrs. Christine Chukukele, some members of the PTAs, and the staff. They're all here at this line listening to this wonderful presentation. Thank you, Barrister Afubera, for being a good leader and coordinating the school very well, you know, for what we do, for all that we do. You know, one thing with Pastor, he told me that the son, anytime he's getting late to drop the son in the school, the son will be warning him, I don't want to go late to school. Ever since he told me that story, I kept on being so proud of the children of Irene Menakaya School. You know, come and take me to school. I don't want to go late. And he will oblige. You know, at times you give the children the power of authority. He will oblige. He never want to do, it's my son. Why are you telling me? He will oblige. I even beg him, please, I'm coming. So I am so glad that you are here. And thank God for everything, for all and every one of you. Maybe Dr. Jide, can you say a word before I hand over to the moderator to close the meeting? One more thing, please. please, one more thing I forgot. I just want us to have a 1 minute silence for my mentor, my mother at the UN, Professor Joy Ogo, whose burial is ongoing now. Here in America, he was the former ambassador of Nigeria to United Nations. And most of the time when I was confused, I run to her. She knew me as a child. And Professor Joy Ogo. And today she's been laid to rest. I just want us to have a minute silence. Thank you. Incidentally, in September, when I wrote a book on African women voices, I told her you're going to do the foreword, and I'm going to dedicate the book to you because it's rooted on 30 years of Beijing Women Conference. And she did that. We presented the book on September 22nd. In 3 weeks later, she passed. So I thank God for her life, and I thank God for what she imparted in my life. And I pray that we continue to grow in that expansion in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, everyone.
I just want to appreciate everybody who has been giving us such a rich and considered and wide-ranging insights into what it means to be a child today, to explain and to highlight what works well and how we can make measurable changes to children's lives today. I'm really grateful to the panelists who is supporting Olivia and to the direction that we've been given by His Excellency Ambassador Antoine. And more particularly, deep appreciation to the Right Honorable Professor Finn for putting out his name, his authority, and his resources to founding the African Cultural Day for the Child. And for everyone who's spoken today, we're really grateful. Our school, Irene Menakaya School, continues to lead the way and to be a beacon for rural education for children of all sexes. We hope that our vision will continue and the legacy of our parents will do our best to continue to push it forward. I'm really grateful to everybody who has been here today, and I wish you all a very good day and a great weekend.
Thank you so much for sharing, Dr. Menakata, and thank you for everything that you do. At this time, we're at a close. And so there has been a wealth of information. It's been very informative. Please do all to take charge, take action, because this information will not multiply if we do not take action. So at this time, I'm going to say we're going to close, and you all have a wonderful rest of your week. Dr. Ada, did you have anything else?
No, I hand over to you, the moderators, Ambassador Lisa, and you to close.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, thank you again, everyone, for participating today, for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, and your direction so that we can have a plan of action to move forward. I am always saying, each one reach one, each one teach one. We may not be able to bite the whole apple, but you can take a bite. So find your portion in God's agenda for this Universal Children's Day and get busy. God bless you.
God bless you.
Yeah, can we all be on camera, please? One last picture. Yes, I can see His Excellency Antoine is okay. Yes, Professor Remy is out to another event. Thank you also. Anyone with good photo, please do the justice. Oh, where is His Excellency? Is gone. Oh my God. Right Honorable Dr. Finn is left. Thank you all.
Are you able to show a view where you can see everyone at the same time on the screen?
Yes, I'm on gallery now. Everyone is here on screen.
Yes, but Dr. Latonia and I are still pinned, so we can only see us.
Are you serious? Sorry. Let me remove it. Let me remove. Oh, good.
Let me
Sorry.
try hide self view if that. I don't know if that. Well, now I still just see myself. Okay, now I just see you.
All right.
Everyone smile. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Dr. Minnie, my partner in crime. Thank you.
Please.
Shalom. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Ambassador, thank you so much.
you.
Ambassador Antoine, I mean, you have been a rock star to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you,
Please be reminded to send your remarks and your speeches to
Please,
Dr. Ada.
it's very
If you have
important
not done
because
so
we are
already. Thank you.
compiling a journal on this. Send me your presentations to the email so that we can compile it and submit a report accordingly. Thank you, everyone.
A great
Bye,
weekend.
everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving. Oh, Thanksgiving. I hope you bring a
That's
turkey,
right. Thanksgiving.
Indeed.
Bye.
Some
And
of you, I
thank
may
you.
see you on.
And thank you for
Monday
the
or Tuesday.
panelist that is sponsoring Olivia for next time. Oh my God. God bless you more.